Good morning, everyone. I'm Lori. Welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses. Well, I am here basking in the beautiful glow of sunrise. It's actually just before sunrise here in my Zone 5B garden. And the reason I'm out this early, not just because this is normally when I get up anyway, but I have a rose that I just ordered that arrived, and I need to get it in the ground. This is the first knockout rose variety that I am going to plant. It was developed by William Radler, an old rose breeder who actually developed knockout roses. I saw him interviewed by Aaron, the impatient gardener, who I followed for some time. And he was talking about a knockout rose that has beautiful crimson, almost fuchsia colored blooms, and it's a climber. And I didn't even know they made that. So the idea of a rose that is hardy, especially with the winters we have around here, and pest resistant, and is a continuous bloomer, I mean, I wanted to give it a try. And I had an idea for putting it here in my north garden. Now, behind me is a damp garden, really. It gets some sun on this side, but it has more shade on that side. However, in the summer, plenty of sun here, plenty of morning sun in particular. And so I would love to have a nice pop of color to add to this border, maybe right here. Can you see where the rose is? I ordered it from Heirloom Roses, and I have worked with those guys for a number of years. This is not a sponsor. I buy these roses. But I like to try new things, and they have great customer service, and they've really helped me out with a few things, you know, when I have questions about an old order, that type of thing. So I have also, because this area is rife with juglone in the soil from these beautiful black walnut trees of the neighbors, I have to be cautious of the soil. So we'll be looking into that as well. But the main spot is finding a sunny spot that is going to be conducive to growing a rose, that has enough sun, that has good drainage. So not down below so much because it's a little damp there, but up on this very slight slope with some good sun would be nice for the rose. There are a couple other things to consider as I continue to build this north bed. Privacy. It adds some more privacy and some more beauty, so that when I'm looking out this window in the morning, we can wake up to a variety of beautiful blooms, no matter what the season. And I'm hoping the rose does that. Now, there is a rose that I had planted 2 years ago up on this hill, which is kind of stalled out. And I think that's largely because of pest issues, but I wanted to put in a really hardy, vigorous rose just to see if that is indeed the case, or maybe it's juglone. Because if this one doesn't work as well, then I know it's more of a soil issue. So we'll give it a try. That's a long-winded version to let's get to work, shall we? And again, I'm doing this also in the morning where it's cool. We're in a heat wave period here in July. Not uncommon for Iowa, but it's best to try to plant a rose or other types of shrubs and perennials in the coolest part of the day, when there's some cloud cover. There is rain in the forecast for tomorrow, so I think all these things are in our favor. And I want to give it plenty of time for the roots to grow, so that's why I am planting it in the summer versus the late fall, because I planted that heritage rose 2 years ago in the late fall. It came, and I just think it hasn't really thrived since then. I think it just didn't have enough time for the roots to really develop. And we'll see what happens. Anyway, worth a shot. Let's get started. I have all of my materials set aside here, as well as the rose, which is high wire flyer. And again, I ordered that from Heirloom Roses. They strip a lot of the leaves for shipping. It just makes it healthier. I have some fertilizer here for planting, which I use. It's a soft fertilizer, not really high in nitrogen, so it won't burn the new roots. And aged cow manure, which has nitrogen and phosphorus, potassium. If you have clay soil, it really helps improve drainage. That bag has mint compost which is helping again for moisture retention, and it's supposed to repel spider mites and aphids. And of course, I can't resist while I'm here to deadhead things, deadhead the daylily, which is looking really pretty. I love these red blooms, and I love this continuation of the same color here. The red of the daylily, the hibiscus, Joe Pye weed, and then so right where this weather vane is, I put it in place so I could mark where, as the sun moves through that spot, make some notes to see how it works, because that's where I want to put the rose. Because I think a bright red there will also complement my red hibiscus in the back corner. And again, this cookies and cream hibiscus in the front here. I'm just trying to get, now this side has more moisture, so I debated planting it there, but I decided to just keep hostas and astilbe there because it likes the moisture. This side is decidedly drier, plus it hugs the stone wall, so it gets lots of heat and retains it. So I think where that weather vane is the best place. So the first thing to do is to, get all my materials together. I've got to break a little corner of sod out, remove the weather vane, and put that in there and see how it does. Now, I don't want to lose that grass. We can certainly make use of it. That's when I realized I probably should have put my boots on because digging heavy clay soils that are dry, which makes it harder to remove grass, is hard when you don't have the proper footwear. So, note to self for next time. So I got that up and I safely stored the grass aside, the sod aside, because I do have some spots that could use it. And then I went to work softening the soil underneath. I pulled some up so I can see just how deep the topsoil is here. And it's about as I imagined. It's just, maybe 6 inches of topsoil and the rest is heavy clay. I mean, see that lighter soil on the bottom and there on the sides of the planting hole? That's clay. And it really holds moisture. So that's, I thought I'm going to try to give this rose, especially this time of year, which is a challenge to plant in this heat. The soil is nice and warm, but it's going to need a little bit of amendment in this planting pocket. So I use this hori-kori knife to remove the soil because it is so heavy. And that way I can tell if I have anything else planted in here. I want to just check out the soil. So this was a bit of a tedious process, but again, it's the best way to see what your dirt is doing. Then I add the aged cow manure on the bottom, but not to just leave it like that. You have to mix in your regular soil along with that. You don't want to create just a bowl of heavy clay soil and all the amended goodies in that pocket. You want to encourage the rose to move outward. So now that is the Omni meal. That is the, it's a pretty weak, but it's a type of fertilizer which I use on all of my roses, whether they're first year or 5 year. I put that in there, and there's the regular dirt. I mix it up, grind it together. So again, it's going to want to not just stay in this hole where the goodies are, but continue to grow and spread its roots. And that's how a rose thrives. Okay. Then I set the rose inside. After checking the roots, this is a 1 gallon rose, which is probably a 2 years worth of growth, maybe at most, but it's nice and healthy. And I position it where I want the stems to grow so that it will look good. And again, they've pulled a lot of the leaves off of this plant for shipment. It's less stress to the plant. And then fill the hole back in again with that amended soil and the soil that was there. I probably should have pulled that piece of grass out. A little bit faster here because it's kind of a boring thing. It takes a while to carefully plant stuff. Then firm it in all the way around. Again, you're getting good contact of the roots with the soil here. That's what counts. Okay. Then it's time to water it in. You have to do a lot of water for a newly planted rose. And I do put some fish fertilizer in there, and then I water it. Now it's time for the mint compost. And again, this repels spider mites and aphids. And this mint compost also helps retain moisture. I didn't want it to just, because it's black and it doesn't, it's just the aesthetics of this particular area. I have cedar mulch here, but this is just the remaining mint compost that I had left for the year, and then I'll put cedar mulch on top of that. Now, as for the grass that I harvested from that spot, there's a naked patch right here where grass just doesn't grow. It gets too wet. So I thought, I would loosen the soil, amend it, and put the grass there. And a healthy dose of water. Even though there's rain coming, I just didn't want it to dry out until the rain did come. Well, we got it done, and hopefully gave the grass a new home where it's going to thrive. I'm not a big proponent of grass, but make the hubby happy. I don't know that it will grow there, actually, because that is another one of those dead spots here on the north side of the house that just floods out. But here in this instance, having too much rain might help this grass get started, because there is another possible gully washer on the way for tomorrow. Okay, so I've got the rose planted, well watered in, mulched, fertilized. Last step is I just have to protect it from rabbits. And I contemplated moving that trellis that is from the heritage rose back there and putting it over this one. I might do that. The heritage rose is not thriving. And it is right now surrounded by plants. So we'll just see how that goes. I will keep you posted. It is always a challenge planting roses in the summer heat. You really have to baby them and keep track of them. So, like I said, I'll let you know how it goes. Ooh, it's already a hot one. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think the humidity is like 60%. So, yeah, I'm a little messy. Hey, it's real gardening. That's the reality. That's just what it is. This is how it looks. This is the deal. All right. Thanks for joining me here. I hope you do like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what questions you have. Or if you have planted roses in the summer in your garden, how do you help them thrive? Do you amend the soil? Do you put companion plants with them? How do you protect them from pests? We're all in this together. We'll see you soon.